Alright guys, Tetragraph here today, and I thought I'd go through the CoD Gamepedia Power Rankings pre-Fort Worth. Before you freak out, these are not the pre-Fort Worth Power Rankings, these are those from before the Pro League. We're going to go through how these things have changed going into the Fort Worth event. I'm sure you guys have a lot of thoughts on this in the comment section below, so feel free to leave them down. Maybe not leave necessarily your all top 16, but maybe your top 4, top 8, something like that. How you think things are going to go into Fort Worth. Of course, the pool play does have an effect on how the tournament goes as a whole. It's not necessarily the best teams that will make it all the way out, because potentially you have OpTic, United and Envy could be really solid teams, but only 2 of them could make it out the pool, for example. So I hope you guys enjoyed Spitfire last night. I was on that podcast with Brycey, Tan and Reedy. If you want to watch that, I'll leave the link to that in the description box below. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, to those that did tune in. So like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new. As always, I greatly appreciate it, all that good stuff, of course. And yeah, let's hop right into it. So this is what we're looking at. So these are your bottom 5. Of course, we have a lot of roster changes here. 4 of these teams have made roster changes, in fact. Accelerate at bottom. Their current team is Jetly, Brack, Profizi, Emery's and Skies. Definitely some talent on that team for that old Midnight roster. Of course, if you guys missed any of the Roster Mania stuff, I'll leave the link in the description box below to the video I did confirming basically all the rosters and talking a bit more about the Attached to Evil Geniuses move, which is relevant here. But yeah, that team in theory, Accelerate's team, it may have got better since the old squad, but how they were looking to the end of the second week of the Pro League was pretty horrible. And of course, we've got this new team that has no land practice, basically has had a week to practice together. And in terms of the names on that team, Jet Li, Profizi could be a pretty decent SMG duo. Brack is obviously a talented player, but I don't really rate Emery's and Skies at the current time, so I think it's fair to put them 16th out of the Pro League teams. Denial have looked much better in the second week. They had that really good result up against Splice. They won 3-2. They also beat Accelerate, but apart from that, I can't really see them getting much more than an upset result. They're definitely a solid team, but I don't see them making it out of Pool A, for example, because they're alongside UYU, Gen G and Heretics, so a tough pool for them. In 14th, we have Evil Geniuses. These guys have, well, got a lot worse since our estimation from before the Pro League. They're 1-6 in the Pro League at the current time, not impressive at all. The only team they're able to beat is Reciprocity. They couldn't win an S&D to save their lives. Their hardpoint was relatively decent, all things considered, but a lot of the time it was exotic absolutely going off. The other guys haven't really shown what they're capable of just yet, I guess you could say. And for Center, okay, he's out the team, he's retired. Attach is in the squad. In theory, in terms of the firepower, they should be a little bit better, but I don't see them being so much better that they'd be able to overhaul some of these guys that we have above them here. So EG in 14th right here, Midnight are in 13th. Potentially you could swap these around, but of course we have this new Midnight team of Llama God remains on the team. Then we have Lacefield, Saints, Parasite and Blaz. So a very interesting team. On paper they should be better than the Accelerate team that they are matching up with in pools, but it's of course a very interesting squad. We've only seen this team, well, we haven't seen this team at all. They only have about a week to practice before the event. You can't really put them too high, even though of course they have that very juicy indeed 5-2 league spot that they're going to be walking back into after Fort Worth. That was created by, well, arguably a much better team, the old Midnight squad that was really deadly. So maybe you guys think the Midnight should be higher on this list. That's definitely arguable. I honestly think these bottom 4 are about right at the current time. Given we haven't seen anything for this new Midnight core yet, I can't really see them being above 13th or 12th, something like that. Of course, then we've got Enigma 6 to discuss. They're in 12th right now. I think this is generally fair off the balance of their performance in the Pro League. They have this situation where they've gone 3-4, so definitely solid. They've beaten all the teams below them, put it that way. They've taken on Envy, they've taken down Denial and beat Accelerate, but the teams above them they haven't really had too much success against. And yeah, okay, Enigma 6 have seemed like a solid squad. Of course, we've got this change with Chino coming in for Cade onto the squad. In technical terms, it could be an improvement, but I don't really see it being a significant one, similar to the EG change. That's what I talked about in a video a couple of days ago here. But yeah, I think this is generally fair right now in terms of the power rankings, these bottom 5 as we have it. So next up, it's Team Reciprocity. Now, these guys have made a change. Dylan has come in into the place of Dens. And yeah, Reciprocity were not having a good Pro League by any means. They were sitting here at 2-5. And yeah, Enigma 6 were technically better on the other side of the division. And yes, okay, Reciprocity were, in terms of their record, worse than Enigma 6. But I personally think this change should significantly improve Reciprocity. And I think the guys on Gamepedia did as well. Effectively, the way these power rankings work is we all put our power rankings in a hat. And then we just average them out, and then this is what we got. And these are very similar to what I had, so I don't even really want to go through my ones, because they're almost identical to this. So I think Reciprocity should improve quite significantly off this change. Not necessarily going to be enough to tip them over the boundary, and of course they are in a very difficult pool with OpTic Gaming, E United and Envious. So, well, if they make it out of that, I'd be very impressed indeed, which is why in terms of power rankings, you can't really put them too high right now. But I think off what we've seen out of Enigma 6 in the last couple of weeks of the Pro League, with Kismet not performing how maybe you'd expect, I think Reciprocity would be Enigma 6 on this current team at the current time. So next up we have UYU. I wonder what you guys think about this team. They've brought in Parzelion in place of Skies. On paper it's an upgrade. Parzelion's definitely been a fantastic ICR in this game so far, but maybe you could argue that he's a pretty damn slow player, and with Methods also on the team there could be some severe pacing issues, and if there's one pool you don't want to be in if you've got pacing issues, it's one with Heretics, Denial and Gen G. So, well, we'll have to see how they go. Personally, I kind of rate them. I think they're really good in the Pro League. They definitely impressed me. They've beaten Red Reserve a fair few times. They're sitting here a relatively comfortable 3-4 in the league. Nothing spectacular, but Proto I thought was really impressive when I watched him play, and Mayhem, of course, in those controls was going off consistently. So I think top 10 on this team could be about right. I wouldn't be overly surprised if they snuck a top 8, and yeah, if they come top 12, I'd also be like, yeah, that's fair enough. But it's definitely arguable that you could swap a few teams around here. Now up next we have Envy. These guys have dropped a fair few points from the beginning of the Pro League because they were looking really good at the Pro League qualifier. In the Pro League so far, they haven't looked as good, but they are such an up and down team. They really rely on Hook and Silly to just dominate. If Hook has a bad series, they're going to lose almost 100% at the current time. It's a very interesting situation what exactly you do with this Envy team, because they're not necessarily performing. But, you know, do you really want to get rid of Assault, the World War II MVP at CoD Champs, or do you want to get rid of Apathy when you know he's going to get better in the next couple of months as he always does? So it's a difficult scenario. Right now, about 9th, I think, is generally quite fair for this squad. 3-4 in the Pro League, they actually do have a positive map count because they kind of mollywop the teams they beat on the last couple of days. They beat E United 3-0, they beat Heretics 3-1 in their last 2 matches, so that was incredibly good. I guess that's spurred them to stay together going into Fort Worth, but it may be a scenario where with a tough pool they're probably going to have to beat E United again to make it out of this one. And in terms of overall consistency, I think 9th is relatively fair right now, even though on their day they could be one of the very best teams in the game, but that's just how Black Ops 4 is, I guess. So in 8th we have Luminosity Gaming. I personally have these guys a couple of points higher than this, but I wonder what you guys think in the comment section below, because yes, if we look at their Pro League, it's not been the greatest. Of course, they're sitting here at 3-4, but their last week was spectacular. They beat EG just about, but then they mollywopped Midnight, the really good Midnight team, and then they beat OpTic. Yes, with Zuma as a substitute in a game 5, but John had a really good week. I know Slacked got a lot of the plaudits in that final week, but John especially had stepped it up, and this guy surely is going to keep getting better and better throughout the season, is John. Now, Slacked and Classic, of course, are the question marks on this team. Gunless and Formal are going to be phenomenal. There's no doubt about that in my mind, and John should continue getting better. So personally, I rate this team a little bit higher than 8th. I think they can do something here. They have a relatively good pool as well. They have Splice, Luminosity, of course, and then this new Midnight team and Accelerate. So they should be able to get out of that one. And then from there, they could potentially put a run together. Of course, they came 4th at Las Vegas with this arguably dysfunctional squad. So coming into an open event, I think I have more faith in them than putting them 8th. Next up, Red Reserve. Slightly above LG on here. They had a solid Pro League. They go 4-3. They lost a game 5 to Midnight, which was a tough one. And yeah, they lost the other games to the teams above them. They couldn't get past OpTic Gaming, and they lost to Gen G as well, but beat all the teams below them there. So definitely respectable from Red Reserve. They've been looking a little bit better. Their Pro League qualifier was shaky, required scraps to absolutely dominate. They've been looking better as a team as of late. Joe is a relatively, well, he's a really good player in this game compared to his standards in other games, put it that way. So yeah, I think Red Reserve are a solid squad. I don't think they're going to do anything special this event by any means. It does make sense to put them above Luminosity given they beat them in the league, so I can respect that, but I don't think you can realistically put these guys better than 7th right now. Maybe they get top 6 of this event, maybe they snag a top 4, but most likely a top 6, top 8 I think is where we can see Red Reserve this time around. Just above that we have Heretics. What a fantastic Pro League they've had so far. They're sitting here at 5-2, 16-12 map count. They had a pretty tough time towards the latter half of the second week, but most of their matches were very, very solid indeed. Metals was going off, Journey as well having a spectacular few series, and they're really, really competent on these close range maps. Up against, you know, the Gen Gs, the UYUs and the Denials of the world, they should have a solid chance, especially with Gen G making that recent roster change, bringing in Envoy for Spacely, which was officially confirmed yesterday. So yeah, Heretics right now sitting at number 6, definitely think they're the best European team we have right now. Slightly above Red Reserve definitely makes sense, and yeah, I guess if we're going off Pro League standings here, then a lot of these standings and the decisions that have been made in these power power rankings do make a fair bit of sense. Above Heretics, we have Splice. Now, these guys would have been higher, I think, in my opinion, if they didn't have a very difficult second end of the week, because, yes, they won their first 4 matches in the Pro League, and then they got smoked pretty much in the last 3. I mean, okay, they lost to Dinar, but they got reverse swept in that series, and they got pretty beaten out by the other couple of teams they played in E United and Heretics. So yeah, a tough end of the week for them. I thought they were looking pretty bad. I think Clayster said in one of his videos that they were talking about maybe, you know, there's some behind the scenes tension within this team. Of course, they are going to the OpTic pre-LAN boot camp, the Hex quarters, whatever you want to call it. So they should have a lot of time to iron out their kinks there. But yeah, they weren't looking so good towards the end of the second week. I think accuracy is not played as well, nearly as well in this game as he was in World War II, for example. So yeah, the AR battle is going to be interesting in this pool, especially going up against Formal and Gunless on the LG. So E United in 4th. This is quite interesting considering after Vegas, these were your top 2 teams, or okay, excluding the OpTic, these are the next 2, E United and Splice, but they've been overtaken here in the power rankings because, yes, of course, E United have had this supposed internal turmoil with Clayster potentially being out the team, then Pristini potentially being out the team, but now they're sticking together. So definitely there's an opportunity there for some cohesion and some tension issues to come to light. Of course, these guys should be professional enough to get past that, but if they start having a bad couple of results in the pools early on, it's definitely plausible that things go downhill very quickly here. So that's why I think we've dropped them down the list slightly, and also they didn't have the best ends to the Pro League either. In front of them, we have Gen G in the next spot. So these guys have moved up significantly right here. Of course, we have Envoy instead of Spacely, which maybe is the difference here between them being number 2 and number 3, because, well, you've got a week to practice with this squad before an event. Spacely's team was tried and tested. They didn't lose a single search and destroy in the Pro League. Whether that will be the same with Envoy is yet to be seen. Of course, well, the 6-in-1 Pro League record speaks for itself, really, especially with Maniac having a really difficult second week in the Pro League in his hardpoint statistics specifically. So I think Gen G in 3rd makes a lot of sense here. Could arguably be 2nd. So these are the final standings. 100 Thieves sitting in 2nd. Of course, OpTic Gaming number 1. You can't really say anything against them right now. They've been looking very good online. Of course, Dashi is now back in the team. Haven't seen too much from them. Well, of course, haven't seen the Dashi OpTic in the Pro League at all. So it's really tough to say how good they'll be with him. Of course, you know, we can assume they'll be spectacular. He was really good at Vegas, but we haven't seen this team on LAN in 3 months. So I really think that pre-LAN with the 100 Thieves team, the Splice team, and the Heretic squad will be really helpful for these guys to get some LAN practice under their belt once again. 100 Thieves and Gen G, 2nd and 3rd spot. Yeah, it's an interesting one which way these guys go. Just to make this clear to you guys, this is how it works. So Spoons did all these averages, and as you can see, 100 Thieves and Gen G were exactly the same on that average. So it's just been done alphabetically. They could have been either way around in our power rankings, so depending on how you wanted to do it alphabetically, flip a coin, whatever the hell. But yeah, so leave your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Personally, I think 100 Thieves have improved a hell of a lot, and I think they could be OpTic's closest challenger right here. In my power rankings, I did put them number 2 because, well, with Crowder as coach, with Priester going off, Slash has been looking like his old self once again. Octane has been really, really good, and Kenny is getting back to decent form as well, and they will just continue to do his job. So they've been looking better in pretty much all game types. Priester's been dropping 40s when you need it out of him, and yeah, I really think they can be a competitive team with OpTic right here. Going into the Pro League, I thought that E United and Splice were still going to be the 2 biggest contenders for OpTic Gaming, but now I do arguably agree with this sentiment that 100 Thieves and Gen G may well be OpTic's closest challengers here, but, well, we'll have to see if anyone can get close to OpTic, because it couldn't really happen at CWL Vegas, apart from that series against Splice, where arguably they should have lost, but, you know, that's a story for another time. So I'll leave you with this before we sign off. These are the average Pro League rankings, so as you can see, a lot of them are relatively clear-cut overall, and then, of course, right at the top, we have this difficult situation. Someone had even put OpTic 2nd or something like that, which is a bold call, but we'll have to see how these guys go. Hope you're looking forward to Fort Worth. It starts in a couple of days this Friday. Twitch.tv/Call of Duty. You can watch live and free all weekend. It's going to be a great time. Really intrigued to see whether anyone can dethrone the champions of OpTic Gaming here. So like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new as always. Really approaching 10k. It's going to be a good time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. You hear that then?
No, sorry.
Go window.
I said go window. Yeah, go window.
I'll go window.
RC called in from A. Looking window, nothing.
Nothing
Looking
A.
B, nothing.
RCA.
Window, dead.
RC guy was A tube.
Nice.
In A tube, dead.
Nice, good shit.
Probably a different RC.
Last guy tube.
Nice.
He's weak
Okay.
A tube. He's gone to mid.
I'll shot you. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, ICR is the play on defense. I think on offense, the Maddox is the play, but on defense, like, The ICR works way better from here.
Yeah, if you can get like a lightweight ICR, I'm pretty sure you beat them. To their,
Yeah.
like, you can like beat them there on the left side anyway.
Then Hacienda now.
Yeah.
So easy.